Hi, this is James Gorman Oratory Library here with the second book in the Doom series. This book I'll be reviewing today, Doom 2, Hell on Earth, by Daffodil Hugh and Brad Wienerwaver, Conundrums by both authors, David Fredman, and Bradford Swan Wienerwaver, or however the hell you pronounce these names. This was just a terrible book. I could not believe how awful this was. Like, Nail Deeper Than Dead was bad. This is just worse. And to add insult to injury, this book has no references to Doom 2 at all. None. It doesn't have any levels from the games. It doesn't have the iconic Cyberdemon boss or Sin of Icon. Nothing. There is nothing from Doom 2 in this book at all. Just an absolute piece of shit fan fiction. That's what this book is. It's just a shitty fan fiction written by these two assholes that have no fucking clue what Doom is at all. And I'll explain later on in my review why this book is terrible and why I'm now dreading reading the other two books by these authors I have to read, because I have just a gut instinct that tells me they're just going to be bad. There's going to be nothing pleasant about them at all. And but I'll explain later on my review about that and some other issues I have with this book. Alright, on to the review. Plot. Continuing after the previous events, Flynn, Taggart, and Arlene Sanders stranded on Deimos that travels through a wormhole and is close by to Earth. Fearing the demons have invaded Earth, Flynn comes up with a plan how to get off Deimos and reach their homeworld by building a rocket ship. But first they have to create a large hole through the biosphere around the base while wearing air tanks as the moon slowly loses its oxygen supply. Using spare parts from storage from the Deimos base, Flynn and Arlene are able to build a rocket ship along with stocking up on food, water, medical, ammo, and weapons. Despite the two of them hallucinating when their oxygen supply is going low, Flynn and Arlene complete their rocket ship. They use a track to help launch it into orbit and hit straight for Earth. They crash land in the salt flats as their rocket ship barely survives the impact. Their cargo is intact except for their weapons that were trashed. The two are unarmed. They travel across the desert and make their way towards Salt Lake City. Once they find a group of resistant fighters made up of Mormon church members. At first, the members believe Flynn and Arlene are spies for the enemy, but after telling them what happened on the moons of Mars, the group leader, Albert, believes their story and allows them to stay in their fortified base. But Flynn wants to report to UAC headquarters and find out what's going on with the Hell invasion. They leave base and enter a high-rise tower with two soldiers stationed inside and order them to leave as Flynn makes contact with HQ and wants both him and Arlene to use a train to reach the UAC base, along with meeting the president to discuss the situation and problems they are facing. When Flynn and Arlene reach the UAC base, they are blamed for failing to stop the invasion of demons from attacking Earth, despite their efforts to stop it. And to make matters worse, many nations have betrayed the human race by not only joining the forces of Hell, but aiding them during the invasion. Not only that, but the spider demons have set up force fields around parts of America, trapping many people and armies to prevent them from escape or attacking the forces of Hell. The president and the new commander of the UAC agree that they need all the help they can get, and their best chance of saving the human race from being enslaved or wiped out by the demons is with the help of Flynn and Arlene, and agree. Their first mission is to go to Los Angeles to shut down one of the force fields. Joining them is Jill, a 14-year-old girl who's a skilled hacker. Against their wishes, the president states Jill is coming along with them, and they'll train her how to use firearms. Albert also tags along with the group. Once Flynn's team is ready and take all the supplies, weapons, and ammo and use a Humvee to drive through the subway tunnels while pulling train cars carrying extra supplies to reach Phoenix, then into LA. However, during the trip, they are forced to blast through a tunnel to clear a blockage, then lose control of the train, which crashes into their Humvee, forcing them to travel on foot. Along the way, they encounter both zombies and demons. Flynn and others travel through the ruins while fighting monsters to save the human race from being enslaved by the forces of Hell. Hell on Earth is an awful sequel to Knee Deep in the Dead. Like the first novel, it's heavily written by two assholes who don't know nothing about Doom or its sequel, Doom 2. In fact, the whole novel isn't anything like Doom 2 at all. Both authors have thrown out everything out of the video game and rewrote a shitty story with a bunch of unlikable and useless characters. While the pacing is slowed down a bit with a little more detail at the start, but towards the middle and ending of the novel there isn't any detailed description on places, people, or scenery, making it featureless. However, character description is awful with little bits of information on what characters look like in the novel. For example, when Jill is first shown in the story, the authors only tell the reader what kind of clothes she's wearing and her age. That's it. Same goes for the rest of the characters, only tells you what kind of clothing they're wearing or age. This is just pure laziness. And none of the new characters that are featured in the story weren't useful at all. Just more unlikable characters I want to see all of them die because I hated every one of them for how annoying or useless they were. Again, for example, Jill does most of the driving for some reason as Flynn, Arlene, and Albert are too lazy to do anything. And when it comes to Jill's hacking skills, she easily shuts down one of the demon force fields with the aid of a friend in a matter of seconds. But this isn't until the end of the novel when she uses one of her skills. For the rest of the novel, she doesn't do anything else other than drive vehicles, which she's somehow skilled at driving a semi-truck, a train, and even flying a plane, which she has no training whatsoever. Albert is just your basic God-loving character who spends most of the time talking about his views on life, society, demons, and of course God. Albert even tries to get Arlene to join his side of becoming a member of the Mormon Church. And as for our two main characters, Flynn and Arlene, no improvements have been done to make them better or likable. They're just more useless and annoying than before. Flynn is just a half-brain dead idiot that acts like a cartoon character. Like before, he speaks out loud during the worst times ever, says some of the oddest and cringiest lines ever. At the start of the novel, when he comes up with his plan to build a rocket ship to return to Earth, as Arlene is skeptical of his crazy plan, and he even adds when he was a teenager that he couldn't afford to buy a car, but because he wanted one so badly, he built one that ran fine, just didn't have brakes. Arlene still doesn't believe his crazy plan, to which he replies, "I guess in space no one can hear you make metaphors." I swear I want to kill Flynn after this horrible alien reference. He also says a line from Star Wars along with a bunch of other passages from the Bible. And the rest of the characters, I seriously couldn't care less for them. Nothing to like about them, just hated every last one of them. And throughout, Hell on Earth was just a complete boring waste of time and unexciting adventure. The start of the novel has Flynn and Irwin built a rocket ship because the Daimyo space doesn't have any spaceships, transporters, or cargo ships. I seriously question this as a major plot hole is how the hell is the UAC able to transport anything on planets or moons if they don't have any ships around? The two main characters have to build a ship in order to get off Daimyos, but before any of that, they fire a rocket into the biosphere in order to escape but put their lives on risk as the moon is slowly losing its oxygen supply. And when they do get to Earth, there's hardly any epic fight scenes or famous landmarks and ruins, just little to none detail during the second act. Towards the end is where things really become confusing as the authors just rush through scenes to the point where I had no idea what was going on anymore. Where the story was taking place and sudden characters began popping out of nowhere along with random moments that didn't make any sense. One of the worst scenes is when Flynn and the team go to a store to get supplies only to be surrounded by a swarm of zombies. Rather than use their weapons, Flynn throws a lemon to distract the zombies in order to shoot them. At one point, Flynn becomes a jerk towards Jill, forcefully washing her hair, then states she needs to wash herself unless he wants her to give her a hand with that. And lastly, the characters never struggle with anything. They easily overcome any problem they face and take down a force field like it's child's play. The authors also try changing things up by having each chapter follow a different character, but again, this doesn't improve anything with Hell on Earth. Not once did I find a reference or a nod to Doom 2 Hell on Earth. No Cyber Demon or Icon of Sin either in this story. The authors just ripped the cover off the video game, slammed it on their poorly written fanfiction novel, and called it a day. Overall, I don't recommend Hell on Earth as it's a shitty sequel to the awful New Deep in the Dead, and there's nothing worth reading in this novel. Do not waste your time or money on this novel. Go play the Doom video games. They are way better than these awful novels. And that is it for the review. And again, this is just another short and simple review of a fucking terrible book that I absolutely hated reading every minute of it. And again, like with the first one, I plowed through it just to be done with it. And oh, this book just left a really bad taste in my mouth. Just so goddamn awful. I'm actually quite curious of the backstory and how these two authors were somehow assigned to write novel tie-ins to Doom, when I'm thinking id Software could have picked so many better writers than these two, because these two assholes just can't write one damn good book at all. Oh, and this is on all the books series of the first Doom series. On the top it says, Beyond the Game, Chapter 2 in the classic new space opera. Oh yeah, this is going to be the next space opera. Yeah, what a fucking joke. It is so... The book is just worse than the first one is bad, but this is just even worse. As I said, there's not a single reference to Doom 2 at all, and in fact, there's hardly any weapons from the Doom games at all, other than the 10mm pistol, the SMG, and the combat rifle that's oddly called a Stakeout. It's a really odd name. Most of the weapons in this book are just normal, basic weapons. Like, you get a Ruger Mini 14, a Uzi clone, what else? A fictional AR-19, and just basic. Oh yeah, and a 38 revolver. Just basic, like normal weapons. It's not it. There's no like futuristic weapons at all. I thought this is not even feel like a science fiction story at all. It doesn't have that feel. Like it's supposed to be set in the future and stuff. It just doesn't have that. And what I also didn't like was Flynn Taggart dislikes energy weapons. He doesn't like them, and when he's about to head out to Los Angeles, he's given like this like big arsenal of weapons, and he sees the BFG, and he decides to not take it because he doesn't like energy weapons. That is bullshit. Like every time that the real Doom guy, picks up a weapon, he grins with it, just excited to use this weapon on an enemy. That's what I should be getting from this, not some guy, some imposter who claims to be the Doom guy when he's in fact not. Oh, this book is so confusing. There are times where I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on in the book. Like the part where they're trying to get to Los Angeles, I was confused. Like, wait, are they driving the Humvee through the subway tunnel while pulling the train cars, or are they going back and forth with it? I couldn't figure out what the hell is going on, and then it gets worse towards the end, where the officers just basically slam their gun and foot on the accelerator and just rush everything to the point where nothing makes sense anymore. And the references are just terrible. Like the horrible reference to Alien was bad, and then the Star Wars reference where Flynn makes a Star Wars quote, "I feel a disturbance in the Force." I'm like, oh yeah, this space opera is gonna be great when, especially when it mentions other stuff from other science fiction stuff. That's just pure laziness, just taking other things and putting into this shitty fan fiction novel here to try to make it better when it doesn't. Oh, I absolutely hate all the characters in this goddamn book. Not a single one I like. Every character I hate. Even just they offer nothing new or exciting to make them interesting. They're just boring, and the whole beginning part of the Flynn and Arlene having to build a rocket ship is like 38 pages, and I thought, if the offers just had them get on a ship, it doesn't have to, it could be anything. It could be a cargo transport, oh yeah, a cargo transport, a carrier ship, any kind of spaceship at all would have been fine. No, they have to build a rocket ship to get to Earth, and in order to get into orbit in the first place, they have to shoot a hole through the biosphere. It was so stupid. I thought, this is like something out of a goddamn cartoon. That's what this whole book feels like. It's just a bad cartoon. And the two main characters, I absolutely hated these two with like a burning passion. Just, I wanted them to be killed off and have some better character come in and take over. And the whole book feels like very cartoony, like the whole feel of it. And when Flynn in the beginning of the book is trying to convince Arlene that they can build a ship out of parts, he tries to convincing her that I wanted a car really, really, really badly, and then he went and built one because he couldn't afford one. He said, "Oh, the car ran fine. It just didn't have any brakes." Like if I was the other character, I would say, "Screw you. I'm gonna find my own way off this planet. You go ahead and build your rocket ship while I try to find a more safer way, because I'd rather take my chances than going with some idiot who doesn't know what the hell he's doing." Oh, it was so fucking terrible, that part. Just awful. This has nothing to Doom 2 whatsoever. Oh, I hated it. I just hate this book, and I'm dreading on reading the other two books by these two authors because I can only imagine they're just going to progress just worse the further I read in them. And and you know what? I think for a punishment for these two assholes that just wrote these awful books, I strongly believe they should be transported to hell and become the Cyber Demon's bitch for eternity. And while they're at it, they can attend to the many needs of the Sin of Icon and just make their lives a living hell as possible for these fucking awful books that I'm currently reading. And I'll be so glad to be done with them and move on to the Doom 3 books. And I really am hoping those be a lot better because this is an even bigger pile of shit than Kneel Deep in the Dead. Just worse. Alright. That is it for the review today. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'm taking a break from the two Doom books because they are just leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And if I have to read, like, another one right now, I would just say, fuck it, I'm not reading these books again. But because I show them in the trailer when I was going to review, and I have to review them, so I'm just going to take a little break. So for my next book, I'll be reading Richard Lehman's The Flesh, what is considered one of his best horror books of the late 80s. So I will just be taking a break from the Doom series. After I'm done this book, I will just plow through the two remaining Doom books so I can just be done with it. So I can get onto the Doom 3 books and the other books I have picked out. Alright. That's it for the review today. If you enjoyed it, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, a place you post and share review fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.